Thank all of you for being here and welcome this morning. I'm going to continue to talk about the Heart Sutra. This is actually my fourth talk on the Heart Sutra, so I've already done the first part of it. And today I'm going to talk about a fairly long section. And last week we talked about form is emptiness. Of course, we chanted the Heart Sutra during the service this morning. So form is emptiness, and emptiness is form, and form is exactly emptiness, and emptiness is exactly form. And then the next section goes like this: sensations, conceptions, discrimination, awareness are likewise like this. O Shariputra, all dharmas are forms of emptiness, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, without loss, without gain. So in emptiness, there's no form, no sensation, conception, discrimination, awareness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. No color, sound, smell, taste, touch, phenomena. No realm of sight, no realm of consciousness. No ignorance and no end to ignorance. And no old age and death, and no end to old age and death. So the Heart Sutra, it sounds like whatever you're trying to grab onto, it just evaporates. Nothing solid. But that's what emptiness is. And I mentioned before, we talked about the five skandhas because that was the beginning of the Heart Sutra. And of course, form is the first one. Then form is emptiness, and then sensation, conception, discrimination, and awareness are ways to describe the other five skandhas. And they're all empty. And so and what does it mean by empty? Of course, we talked about that a lot before, but it means it's not fixed. There's no fixed quality or no fixed quantity. Everything's constantly changing. So, but that has to do with your feelings, your ideas, your thoughts, your awareness. It's just not things we associate with fixed substances, but all phenomena. It includes anger, love, ghosts, human beings, animals, demons, Garuda birds, laughter, angels. All of these are expressions of emptiness. So emptiness is all phenomena without any labels attached to them. So laughter is laughter, but it's independent of all of the meanings of the word laughter. Pain is pain, but what is it when you remove all of your notions of pain? If you take away all of your labels about things and see them just as they are, that's emptiness. So it says, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, without loss, without gain. So everything's empty and it's impermanent. Everything's in a state of change. So only something that's permanent can be born and be destroyed. So that which is of the nature of being born is also of the nature of dying. So one delusion that we say is to think that things are permanent. That's one of the teachings of the Buddha, that nothing is permanent. Everything is impermanent. And that's where we suffer, is because we try to hold on to things and make them permanent or fixed when that's not their nature. And then we have the truth, everything is impermanent. And then we try to hold on to that as something to give us security. Well, all right. So the Heart Sutra is saying you can't hold on to anything. So each moment is complete, and each moment is completely new. So if we say not born and not destroyed, that means that it's beyond time. So everything is changing. Yet there's no concept or perception of the change, past, present, or future. Everything exists right now. Now, I don't know how old it is, but I remember seeing that movie years ago, Back to the Future. Maybe some of you have seen it, about the mad professor who invented a time travel machine, which was a DeLorean luxury car. And then they went back to the past and changed it, and then the future or the present was changed. Well, but Buddhists can do that, can outdo Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox, who was Marty McFly. So by changing right now, you can change the past and the future because it's not born and not destroyed. It's interesting, that we all have a notion that certain things happen in our life that were very traumatic or unpleasant. Doesn't even have to be traumatic, it just be unpleasant. And maybe, we felt that we weren't loved enough or our parents didn't treat us right or something. But if we can take care of those feelings that we're holding on to in the present moment, it changes the past, our view of the past. But we say, well, that doesn't change what happened. Well, it changes how we view what happened. Because we blame events and things in our life, to preventing us from realizing our happiness or completeness right now. But through your meditation practice, through your awareness, through your mindfulness, you can heal all that. And if you heal it now, it heals the past as well. So the fifth skandha, or the heap, as it's sometimes called, is consciousness. And according to Buddhist philosophy, there's 8 types of consciousness. And there's one for each of the 6 senses. And of course, the 6th one is the mind, and it says later on, that there is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, but those are part of the consciousness. And one is the notion of the ego, and another one is called the alaya consciousness, or the storehouse consciousness. And one of our ancestors, Koryo Roshi, said that the alaya consciousness contains everything, past, present, and future. It contains everything because it's now. And past, present, and future are notions, ideas. And since everything is change, there's nothing fixed about the past. And the past changes according to the current moment. For example, we say Shakyamuni Buddha did not live 2,500 years ago. He lives right now. And if you change and transform, Shakyamuni Buddha changes and transforms. The same is true with Trump. Biden, Putin, and Zelensky. Now, the first of the Four Noble Truths of the Buddha is that life is suffering. And we suffer for all kinds of reasons. Not having things as we want them to be. We don't accept things as they are. So there's two delusions regarding suffering. One is that everything is suffering. And the other is that there's no suffering, that everything's okay. The main point is that any idea we have is a delusion. When we live our lives independent of these notions, then we see that we don't die, nor are we born. Birth and death are not inherent qualities and phenomena as they are. They're beyond time. Thus, there's no loss and no gain. So the Heart Sutra says, so in emptiness, there's no form, no sensation, conception, discrimination, awareness. So it's negating the five skandhas. And I've seen another translation that says, thus, emptiness is not form, not sensation, not conception, discrimination, awareness. So the sutra says that emptiness is form at the beginning, and then it just says that it's not form. So it doesn't mean that there's no form. It means that when you take away your notions of form, that's form, as it is. And it says no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, mind, no color, sound, smell, taste, touch, phenomena, no realm of sight, and so forth, up to no realm of consciousness. So there's no organs of sense, there's no objects of the sense, and there's no realms associated with it. Usually we think of my eyes, my ears, my nose, my tongue, my body, my mind. We think of them as possessions. See, but what does it mean, no I? And if the Buddha said there's no self, if there's no self, how can we possess these senses? So those of you who have been working on koans, you come across this all the time. There's a koan that says empty-handed, yet holding a hoe. See, how do you see with no eye? How do you hear with no ear? So the Heart Sutra doesn't mean that we don't see, and we don't see color in the realm of sight. It means that when we see, we just see. So there's a question, how can you take this piece of fruit without using your hands and mouth? So if you drop away all of your notions of take and hands and mouth, when you're hungry, you just eat. That's what the Buddha said. He had these marvelous supernatural powers. When he's hungry, he eats, and when he's tired, he sleeps. So, thinking in terms of owning, having, or being something special just ties us with invisible chains. So we just have to let it go and function as freely as we can. So it says, no ignorance and no end to ignorance, no old age and death and no end to old age and death. So in Buddhism, there's a 12-fold chain of causation, starting with ignorance and ending with death. That explains how our life is generated. And the Buddhas taught that this chain of causation can be broken at any point, and we break it by letting go of our notion of self. And that's what the Buddha said, is that the hardest thing to let go of is this notion that we're an independent, autonomous self. But the truth is that we aren't independent. We exist because everything exists. It's codependent origination. So in this section of the Heart Sutra, the 12 conditions are being negated, and the negation itself is being negated. And even the notion of breaking the chain of conditions is negated. So what the Buddha struggled with, and it's a problem for all of us, is how to find our way out of this cycle of conditioning. It said on the night of his enlightenment, he worked backward through the law of dependent causation or origination, seeking the place of release. So he said, why is there old age, disease, and death? That's what he originally set out to do, is to see how to deal with and eliminate the suffering caused by sickness, old age, and death. And then he said that there's old age, disease, and death because of birth. If we weren't born, there wouldn't be that. And then he said, why is there birth? Because all the actions of becoming, all the volitional activities motivated by greed, hatred, and delusion. Then why are we involved in these kinds of activities? And he said, he thought because of grasping. Well, why is there grasping? Because of desire in the mind. And why is there desire? Because of feelings. Because of the qualities of pleasantness or unpleasantness. Then why are there feelings? Because of contact. Why is there contact? He said because of the sense spheres and the whole body-mind phenomenon. So he's trying to figure all of this out. So understanding the law of dependent origination, how because of one thing, something else arises, somewhere in there we can try to let go and break this chain of conditioning. When pleasant things arise, our tendency is to want to hold on to them. And when pleasant things arise, we want to push them away. And when neutral things arise, and we just get complacent. So the Buddha said, don't cling to pleasant things, don't contemn unpleasant things, and be mindful when things are neutral. And if we become forgetful or unmindful or don't pay heed, that's the way of death. and that the way of wisdom and awareness is the path to no death. But then it also said there's no end to death. So we're free to break the chain, to free ourselves from conditioned reactions. It takes a powerful mindfulness in every moment not to allow feelings to generate desire. So the Buddha said that every moment of awareness is a hammer stroke on the chain of conditioning, striking it with the force of wisdom and awareness. The chain gets weaker and weaker until it breaks. So what we're doing is penetrating into the truth of the law of dependent origination, but we're also freeing ourselves from it. So the Heart Sutra is plucking everything away. Negation is affirmation, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. But if we can pluck everything away, according to Zen language, we have great death and great rebirth. And we see that everything is just one body. So, if there's no eye, how do you see? If there's no ear, how do you hear? There's no nose, how do you smell? So if there's no tongue, how do you taste? No body, how do you feel? No mind, how do you think? So if we take each part of this, Heart Sutra becomes like a koan.